It's official, as one of the best Vikings of his era has hung up the cleats with some emotional words about his time in Minnesota as we look at his impact both on and off the field. And Justin Jefferson does it again with another appearance on the NFL's best list. We're going to break down all that in this episode of Vikings Digest. But first, if you're part of the nearly 88% of viewers who aren't yet subscribed yet and you want to stay up to date on all things Vikings and help us hit our goal of 2,000 subscribers before the start of week 1 on Monday night for the Vikings, make sure to hit that subscribe button and the bell icon so you don't miss any of the updates as they drop. With that, let's hop into the first topic of the day, which is Anthony Barr retires. So yesterday it was made official that Anthony Barr has retired as a Minnesota Viking. And you can see there in the background there in a little bit of the fine text, 4-time Pro Bowl selection, first round draft overall in the ninth overall pick in the 2014 draft, and 2021 Vikings Community Man of the Year, which that latter of which we're going to touch on in a little bit in this episode. But overall, he had a really good press conference. It was emotional as a lifelong Vikings fan and someone who was a massive fan, even more so during his era. It was awesome and a little bit emotional to watch. And he was saying that it's important to me to retire as a Viking because the community means so much. The franchise means so much. It's a franchise that changed my life. Coming here in May 2014 as really a young boy trying to find his way, playing a game he's loved his whole life, and got a chance to showcase his talent here. So it was awesome that he was able to retire as a Minnesota Viking, backed out of the deal with the Jets so that he could stay with Minnesota and retire as a Minnesota Viking rather than play one more year. And he said, "I'm really proud of my career and I'm so thankful for the moments and opportunities I was granted by the Wilf family, some of the best owners in sports, and by the coaches and former Vikings GM Rick Spielman just giving me the opportunity to play." He also talked about Mike Zimmer and the kind of defense that he was running and how he was able to kind of take that torch from Chad Greenway and became the signal caller in basically his second season, getting that green dot as the Mike linebacker and just working with Mike Zimmer to really bring this defense into a scary dominant force where you had Eric Kendricks, you had Eric Wilson, you had Anthony Barr, you had Everson Griffen, you had Xavier Rhodes in the secondary, you had Harrison Smith, of course, Andrew Sendejo. You had dogs almost everywhere that you looked, and there was still overlap with Ben Lieber and Chad Greenway as well. You had Brian Robinson there too, and it was so awesome to watch that for so many years in Minnesota. And speaking on his former teammates as well, he said that all the teammates that have been supporting me, I don't think they realize the impact they were on my career, observing some of the amazing pros that I was able to watch at a young age, whether it's Linval Joseph, who was a beast in the D tackle, Brian Robinson, Everson Griffen, Zay Rhodes, Dijo, Harry, EK, all being good people, good humans, but just being amazing teammates and being guys that I loved going to work with, guys I would put my life on the line for. And these guys were some of these guys were also there at the press conference. Eric Kendricks kicked things off with a really nice, touching kind of tribute to Harrison Smith before he took the podium, especially saying that he used to puke before every single game. It was kind of a little bit of a fun little tidbit, and it was a little bit of a nice little kind of dig or chuckle before he got up there to kind of diffuse the emotion of everything. But it was really cool to see former teammates Andrew Sendejo come out and some other ones as well that were there to support their former teammate as he hung up the cleats for good. And speaking on the Vikings just as a whole, he says, "This is the team that gave me an opportunity. They let me come in and be my authentic self while also expecting and demanding a lot of me. It was a two-way street, and I think for the most part, I held up my end of the bargain, and they did as a franchise as well." And there was never any point with Anthony Barr where there was a bunch of contract disputes or things like that. This was always a really good relationship that the Vikings had with Anthony Barr, where there was never any drama. He was always a bona fide leader of this defense ever since his second year when he took that green dot on the back of his helmet from Chad Greenway, and he just kind of ran with it and became one of the anchors of this defense, where you had Everson Griffen in the front, you had him in the middle, and then Harrison Smith in the back end, and those guys were an absolute force when they were all just clicking at the same time, along with some of the other supporting cast as well. But it was just so awesome watching Anthony Barr for so many years in Minnesota, seeing him wreak havoc, the amount of stats that he was able to put up. He had over 102 games with 98 starts, so he didn't miss tons of time except for that 2020 season, really. He totaled 496 tackles, which for his solo tackles as well, he is 15th overall in franchise history for the Vikings, 39 tackles for loss, 17 and a half sacks, which is 32nd all time, 5 interceptions, 31 passes defended, 8 forced fumbles, recovering all of them, including 2 bonus ones as well, and 1 he returned for a game-winning touchdown at Tampa. And for forced fumbles, he is 16th overall all time for the Minnesota Vikings. So this is a guy that made a massive impact on the field, and he was a difference maker. When he wasn't out there in that 2020 season, his absence was absolutely felt. And then when we got him back, it was amazing. And then everything in between, he was nothing but successful in his time in Minnesota. Will he make it to the Hall of Fame? That remains to be seen. But as far as the Vikings Ring of Honor, I am absolutely predicting him to be in there, and that 55 will be amongst those other legendary numbers in that Vikings Ring of Honor for Anthony Barr as well. But it wasn't just on the field. During his second season in Minnesota, him and his mom Lori launched the Raise the Barr Foundation, a nonprofit aimed at helping single-parent families break the cycle of poverty by providing access to post-secondary education, tuition, and child care scholarships. And Raise the Bar has supported single parents and their children in Southern California, Lori and Anthony's home region, and the Twin Cities over the past 9+ years. Barr also grew deeply connected with the Viking to Jeremiah program, a Minneapolis-based nonprofit with a mission that beautifully aligns with Raise the Bar. So this is a guy that, like he said, like in 2021, winning that Community Man of the Year award. He was also a Walter Payton Man of the Year nominee as well. So this is a guy that made an impact on and off the field in so many ways, and that is also why he perfectly embodies what it is to be a Minnesota Viking, where you're making an impact on the field and changing your entire defense, and being a leader and an anchor on that roster. That is huge. And then also having it translate off the field, where we've seen so many Vikings players get heavily involved in the community within Minnesota, whether it's Brian Robinson, whether it was Justin Jefferson at sometimes, as well as Everson Griffin and Anthony Barr, Eric Kendricks, so many guys, Harrison Smith as well has become a big part of the community, Adam Thielen, who is now back on the Minnesota Vikings. There's a long history of players who have made an impact in the community off the field with the Minnesota Vikings, and that's why when you think of a lot of these players, they are always thought of as Minnesota Vikings, even if they went on and played for other teams. And that is exactly the case with Anthony Barr and Eric Kendricks. Despite them going and playing for the Dallas Cowboys at times and for the LA Chargers, they will always be known as a Minnesota Viking. But what did you guys think about the press conference Anthony Barr gave yesterday about the Minnesota Vikings? And what is your favorite Anthony Barr moment? Let us know down in the comments down below. But that's going to take us into our second topic of the day, which is that Jettas cracks the top 10. So yesterday it was announced with the NFL Top 100 final 10 players coming out. Justin Jefferson at number 9 on the list, jumping up from number 18 where he was at last year, where he had a hamstring injury that did hamper him the year before, and he bounced back from that, starting in all 17 of Minnesota's regular season games last season, along with wildcard playoff contests against the Rams. He finished the 24 campaign with 103 catches, 1,533 yards, averaging 14.9 a catch, in 10 receiving touchdowns. It just sucks that Jamar Chase was able to one-up him, but at least it's his former teammate that was able to do that. Otherwise, Justin Jefferson would have statistically been the best wide receiver in the NFL and probably would have been a lot higher on the top 100 list. But still, with 5 pro seasons under his belt, Jefferson is entering his 6th season with 495 catches for 7,432 yards and 40 touchdowns, which is absolutely insane, basically video game numbers. And he went to 3 straight Pro Bowls from 2020 to 22 and returned to the All-Star game last year. Jefferson was named a first-team All-Pro by the AP following his 1,809 yard showing in 22, and again after his 24 performance last season. He was also named 22 Offensive Player of the Year after leading the NFL in receptions and receiving yards. So this is a guy that just continues to get better, as he already holds a record for most games 11 with 150 plus receiving yards in a player's first 4 seasons, and his 34 career games with 100 or more receiving yards, ranked 3rd through a player's first 6 seasons. In November, he also eclipsed Torrey Holt for the most receiving yards in a player's first 5 seasons. So already, Justin Jefferson, we already know that he's on pace to become one of the best wide receivers of all time. But if he can continue like this, he will be the absolute greatest. And it will be awesome to have Minnesota have 2 of the top 5 wide receivers who have ever played the game, with Randy Moss and Justin Jefferson joining that ranks when it's all said and done. You're going to have Megatron up there. You're going to have Jerry Rice. price, but you're also going to have Justin Jefferson and Randy Moss in there. As far as the number 5 one is, I'll let you guys debate that one down in the comments down below. But overall, let us know what you guys thought of Justin Jefferson making it number 9 on that list. Do you think he should have been higher, or a bit where he was at right now was good? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below. But before we get out of here, we did want to announce this as well, because the Vikings did announce some of the number changes for the jerseys before the season got underway. And of course, the main one everyone's looking at is number 19, Adam Thielen, because he's back wearing the number 19 as if it was any surprise to anyone. You can't give that number to anyone else as long as he's on that roster. Carson Wentz getting number 11, Jeff Okudah with number 8, Miles Price getting number 4, filling in for Powell's number, so we'll see how he lives up to that. Javon Hargrave taking number 97, and some other ones there as well. So, of course, Adam Thielen back in purple, back in number 19, so we get to crack out our jerseys and not have to worry about buying another one. But let us know what you guys have to say about all of this down in the comments below, what you guys think about Anthony Barr. Where does he rank as far as Vikings all-time linebackers or just all-time defensive Vikings? Let us know what you guys have to say down in the comments below, and how many yards do you think Jefferson is going to get this season on his way to try and get an even better spot on next year's top 100 list. But that's going to do it for this episode of Vikings Digest. I've been your host, Griffin. Take care.